Hi guys, welcome to another video on the beach buggy. In this one I'm going to show you some stuff on the chassis. As you can see, it's all painted up nice and it's going back together now. So yeah, check the video out and you'll see it go from scratch, from it being blasted to this stage. So we'll start off this video looking at the chassis. The chassis was sent off to ABS blasting to be fully media blasted. This took off all of the underseal, all the rust that was left over, and provided a perfect base for the powder coating to be done. Once Alex had finished media blasting the chassis, he gave it a good coat with the product called Kefos, which is a rust inhibitor. It was then sent off to mark at perfect coatings for him to work his magic. So we've got the chassis back from Mark at Perfect Coatings. He's done a lovely job of powder coating this, and I know it was a bit of a nightmare for him doing it white because the spine was full of wax oil, so that kept seeping out. But between ABS blasting and a Mark at Perfect Coatings, this has come out really nice now. We've got a box of parts over here for it. So now the plan is to rub it all down. We'll get it seam sealed, and we're going to Raptor the underside of this chassis, just to give it a little bit more protection because we do plan on driving this car. Right, let's get to it. So we started by unwrapping the chassis and then using 320 on a DA to flat down the large flat areas. We also used a prep pad for the areas that are a little bit more tricky to get to that we couldn't use the DA for. Once it was all rubbed down, Bella gave it a quick blow off and just went over any areas that we'd missed. Once those were done, we could then start sealing up all the seams on the floor pan. Okay, so the chassis has now been rubbed down with 320 and a prep pad where we couldn't get in with the DA. So it's all nicely keyed up for the Raptor, and we've seam sealed all of the edges with white sealer. Next step is to get it all masked off and we'll get the Raptor sprayed on it. It's always a good idea to take your time when masking to make sure you get into all of the little areas where you don't want overspray to get through to the other side. I would normally do this in a spray booth, but the Buggy shell was in the spray booth and we didn't want to move it out because Chris still had lots of paintwork to do on it. So with the chassis all masked up, I can now start applying Raptor. U-Pole Raptor is a really good product for these areas because it's really tough and it was actually designed for pickup truck bed liners. It's also tintable, so it saves us having to paint it afterwards. And there we have it, that is the chassis Raptored. As you can see, we've gone for a slight stippled finish using the stone chip gun rather than putting it on smooth like we have done in some of the projects in the past. We can now start to think about reassembling the chassis. Okay, so I've had a delivery from Ian at Aircooled Auto Elec. He's made the Buggy loom for us. As usual, it's running his modern blade fuse board, which is a really nice upgrade to have. Parts of the loom, we've got these modern plugs on now, so we can take the dash off without having to unplug every individual item. But the majority of the loom has been left unterminated, so we can cut it to length and terminate it as we wish. So I'm going to start by mounting the fuse board on the body of the Buggy. From that point I can lay out each branch of the loom to where it needs to go. Okay, so light-wise I've got 4 of these. They do side lights, brake lights and indicators. So I am cutting the wires to length, and I've got a whole box of these connectors. So I've got to terminate 4 of these, and then I've got to do the wiring loom on the Buggy, and hopefully we can see what they look like. I think they're going to look pretty cool. Right. Flitting around a bit, but the next thing to do is assemble the brake pedals. Everything's been powder coated and rebushed, and it's all going together with plenty of grease. Right, more paintwork. Chris has put some flake on the brake calipers and now put a stencil on there for the Wilwood logo. Okay, so I've just got my flaked master cylinder and the bits and pieces I need to put it back together. So yeah, let's do that. This process is always pretty nerve-wracking because it's so important not to scratch anything. The build's always quite thick when you do flake and candy over the top as well, so it's really important to take my time demasking this and assembling it carefully. And there we go, we have our sparkly master cylinder all back together and ready to fit. Right, next up is the brake calipers, and how cool do these look? We'll have one blue and one purple on each side to really break it up. Well, there we go, that is the first caliper back together. Looks pretty cool. Real pain to demask. It's taken me the best part of an hour to demask this and build it up, but I think it's worth it. It looks wicked. Right, on to the other 3. Okay, next up is the brace bar. I'm going to reassemble these. We've got left hand threaded joints and right hand threaded joints. Put some copper slip on them. So now I just need to put them together. Okay, back onto the chassis. We're waiting for some suspension parts, so we thought we'd kill some time by doing some more custom paint on the spine of the chassis. What are you doing, Chris?
Robbing down a gearbox.
Yep, we figured we'd flake and candy the gearbox too. Okay, so that is all the paintwork officially finished now, and I can start thinking about reassembling the chassis. The first thing I do is fit this super rare anchor shifter. Next up, I can fit that sparkly master cylinder we assembled earlier. So I've been busy building up the chassis. Chris has done some really nice custom paint down the sides to match the body. So this side is swooshes and this side is more sort of straight lines and yeah, straight lines to match the other side. So yeah, that's all gone together nicely. We've got the anchor shifter. Looking forward to see how that performs. We've got our white pedals, fully refurbished, new bushes. Master cylinder all flaked up and stainless steel brake lines. The brake line runs through the chassis to the back and comes out here. Likewise with the fuel line. That's an aluminium fuel line and we've got these AN fittings all in black, and that runs through the chassis and reappears here. So we'll only have a couple of short sections of flexi, which is nice. Fitted the battery, nice and snug in there, and we've obviously got our earth cable here. The positive will run straight over to the starter motor, and then we take our main power for the loom from there, so less wires to worry about. We've got 3 out of our 5 brace bars in, brake and clutch, clutch and accelerator cables are in. And then we've got our gearbox, which Chris has candied as well. I think this looks pretty funky. We've got a bit of silver on it as well. So yeah, we're just waiting for a custom brake kit from Limebug, because as it stands, their standard kit won't fit the reduction boxes. As soon as that's here, we can get the gearbox in and get it rolling, get their beam on as well. They're making a custom widened beam for us, so yeah, looking forward to getting this finished. Okay, so as you can see, the chassis is now on the ramp and we're ready to fit some suspension and bits to it. I just want to show you some cool bits that are going to be in the next video. So Craig at Limebug's been working his socks off to get this front beam done for us. It's completely custom. It's 2 inches wider than stock. We've got this custom shock tower here, which is much shorter, and we're running these ProTech custom made shocks. These are all made to length, custom spring rates and stuff. Trailing arms have got this beefier carrier here, and Craig's stiffened up the steering arm here. He's made this little gusset which looks really nice. There's loads of stuff going on with this that I won't talk about in this video, but I just wanted to show you that. We've got our custom spring plates from Limebug as well, with the CCR logo in them, and some beam stiffeners are up front. So we're trying to continue the sort of off-roady theme that the Buggy had initially. With these massive wheels, we'll be running these big tyres again, but with some custom wheels, which you may or may not see in the next video. And then over here, we've got our engine and gearbox. The gearbox is a standard early splitty gearbox, small nut end, so 36mm hub nut, fully rebuilt by John Walklett, obviously detailed by us. And then the engine is a Porsche 356 engine, fully rebuilt by Michael Bruce. We've got a custom exhaust, Sebring style, but made vertical, so sort of off-road inspired. That was done by Overkill Performance. So yeah, really excited about getting all of this onto this, and then this fitted. So yeah, that's it for this one. Hopefully you guys get a good idea what will be in the next video, and yeah, check it out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.